Welcome to the Firewater Review, a weekly podcast dedicated to whiskey reviews. Tonight, we have two heavyweights. In one corner, we have Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and in the other corner, we have the Colonel E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. And we are joined by special guest Jake Garner, a.k.a. Bourbon Spartan. And I'm your host, Seth Brown. And I'm joined as always by my co-host, Aaron Cave. What's up, fellas?
How's it going?
It's going great. We've had
Glad to be here.
Had to reschedule this one a couple times, but we had to keep it on the books because I think we were chatting before we started recording here that we all really enjoy both of these pours.
Oh yeah.
I think, Jake, you were the one that commented, weren't you, on we should do a show on these two?
Yeah, I think I had reached out to Aaron a little while back just to throw the idea out there. Actually, Blake, so Bourbon CBJ Sparty was also supposed to join us tonight, and he and I had done a Taylor Barrel Proof blind with 3 different releases, and this particular one happened to be part of it. And I just kind of mentioned out to Aaron because I knew that he liked the uncut, unfiltered barrel proofs. That hey, if you ever wanted to do this, I'd love to be a part of it. Here I am.
We're not going to turn a barrel proof down.
Oh no, never. But that was actually kind of a funny night because I remember. I think I replied right away, like, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll have you on the show. And I think you replied back later on that night, hey, if you really mean it and you're not drunk, we'd love to be on.
I think I was pretty surprised at how promptly you responded and to the affirmative. I was a little shocked.
The past couple weeks, we've had some guests on that. They're just friends of the show that just want to get together, hang out, drink, and talk bourbon. And that's what we like to do. There's no criteria for you to be on this show. If you just want to show up and hang out, have a pour, we're here to talk and listen and drink.
Yep.
Well, I'll prove it tonight because my only expertise is consuming it.
That's all you need.
Yeah. That's all you need.
That's all you need. And you said you're getting over a little cold, so your senses aren't quite there. So
been dealing with the old sinus infections and everything up here in Michigan. We've been in freezing temps for a few weeks now, and the kids go to school, which means they come back home from school with all kinds of illnesses that just pass from one kid to the next kid to the parents back to another kid, and then just the carousel continues.
Yeah. Round and round it goes.
Oh, man.
So, Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into bourbon, how long you've been into bourbon. And we talked a little bit before we started about kind of where your taste buds are going. So just let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I've pretty much since, let's just pretend since I've been old enough to drink was at legal age. I was always, a gin and Coke kind of guy. And, if I went to the bar, I'd get gin and Coke. And then, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I started branching out a little bit and kind of got into Maker's Mark a little bit and started, as many people's story goes, the bourbon increased, the level of Coke decreased until it made its way out. And then it was Makers on the rocks pretty much wherever I went. And then I started finding these Elijah Craigs with these pretty red 12s on them and started giving those a try. And that was actually the first bourbon that I had ever tried neat was the Elijah Craig 12 year. That was a few years back. And I just, man, I really enjoyed it. And but I still, I was just buying up the grocery store bourbons, as they're called, and kind of working my way through some of those. And last summer, I was down in Kentucky for a bachelor party, one of those stay and play golf weekends. And another friend of mine that I drove down there with was also a big Maker's Mark fan. And so we were like, on the way back, we should just hit up the distillery and see what's going on, see what it's like. So we stopped there and did the tour, and it was awesome. I mean, it was just incredible. I'm a big history nut, so to hear that and it was really neat. And so we were like, man, we get back in his car, and we're like, I wonder if there's other distilleries near here. So I Googled it, which took forever because Makers is out in the middle of nowhere with junk, Verizon reception. But I just kind of mapped out the ones that we could hit from Loretta all the way to get back heading up northbound. And so we ended up going to Four Roses and to Jim Beam. And
okay, nice.
And that got me into Four Roses, which I've been on an addiction spiral of Four Roses, everything ever since. And yeah, and just gradually kind of started. I've been in a podcast for quite a while. I've been in the construction industry for quite some time, and I spent a lot of time driving. And so I just got into just listening to podcasts. So whenever I get into something, I'd start searching every podcast I can find, and I listen to as much as I can consume. And man, I had no idea where it would take me down this journey once I started learning about bourbon hunting and all the different types of bourbons and everything. It's been a wild ride for the last couple of years, for sure.
It's a deep rabbit hole.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Very deep,
and can be expensive.
I was actually going to make to that point is once I started getting into it, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm a pretty frugal guy, and I don't know if I can just spend money. My wife is going to kill me if I just spend a bunch of money on this stuff. And so I started kind of learning, honestly, playing a little bit of the trade game and trying to trade up here and there, and find some certain things. And if I could trade one bottle for two, then awesome. Let's give that a ride, get to try more stuff. And before you know it, you've got, like, as I'm looking at my bar, I'm looking at like 60 open bottles right now ish.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you're like me, sometimes you find yourself justifying purchases. I have a friend that he's getting ready to host a Christmas party, and he was really sweating, spending $75 to $100 on meat for this party. But then he sends me a text today, and he spent easily over $100 on bourbon. I don't want to hear that you don't have the money, because I know you have it. But yeah, it can grow quick. It can grow quick.
Oh yeah, it definitely has. And I've probably slowed down a little bit on the hunting, probably more just because of we added a third one a year ago, and by one I mean child, and that started taking up a lot more time, and I just don't get out and about as much as I used to. I used to hit the roundabout of a dozen stores every week and try to network as much as I could and try to get as much as I could, and now we were talking earlier, I've just gotten more and more into store picks, especially the barrel strength non-filtered picks are just really where I'm at right now. So
speaking our language.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Aaron, you don't hunt a whole lot, do you?
Not really. So one, I got great luck with lotteries, but
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I got some great luck with the lottery system, but there's two major stores I go to here in Columbus, and I'm actually pretty good in with the managers at both stores. So if anything usually comes in that's not going to go to a bar, that's going to not really hit the shelf, but going to go somewhere, I usually get a call or an email. And what I do, I do what every person does that tries to get in with a manager. You go in, you talk them up, let them know that you're interested in bourbon. Then you kind of feel about where they are in the bourbon realm, if they like whiskey, if they don't like whiskey. And if they like whiskey, that's when you start taking in samples saying, hey, I picked this up, or I picked that up, and I picked this up. And they get to try some neat stuff, and they see that you're willing to share and, spread the wealth. And, something rare comes along, they ring it up, they give it to you, you pop it and share it with them there in the store. I did that with the Mitcher's 10 a couple weeks ago. Guy was like, oh, hey, we got a Mitcher's 10 in if you want it. And yeah, I had one, and I didn't need a second one, but I figured, well, I'll buy it. Maybe he's never tried it. And I asked him, hey, I was like, hey, have you ever tried it? And he's like, no. I was like, well, here, let's open it and have a pour. And
both of those moves are so underrated.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've opened bottles in store and poured them for guys, because it immediately puts you on a different level with them, and bring samples, because a lot of times these store owners or managers, they might like the stuff, but a lot of times they either feel guilty about doing it, or just sell their stuff to other people to make the money. But a lot of times they don't get to take home what they get in store.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, now I'm just we're kind of waiting on birthday bourbon. It hasn't even hit here in Ohio yet. I was talking to him the other day, and he was telling me what's in the warehouse. It's it hasn't hit Columbus. He said it's hit Cleveland and Cincinnati, but not Columbus. He said it's just sitting there in the warehouse. Don't know what they're doing. And so we've been kind of waiting on that to see. When that comes out. And now the Van Winkles are a lottery system here, so that's just kind of, I'm not even worried about that. So, it's, you play the game, and, if you're willing to spread the wealth and open stuff and let them try it, man, it really steps you up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't really do a whole lot of hunting. I just go to those two stores every Tuesday when they get the trucks in, and, hang out, talk to them. And if I'm lucky, I'll get something. If they don't have anything, I always leave with something. So I usually either pick up an H&H 10-star or something like that, and just to show that I'm a loyal customer, and that I'm not there just to get the special stuff.
Right.
That's actually something a trick that I used for. I still do it. I love drinking those Arizona teas, like the green tea, and and it just, I would buy at least one a day. So it's like, well, instead of going to a gas station, I'll just buy them from a liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
And it's immediate excuse to walk up to the counter and start looking at their at supply and talking to the guy behind the counter. And every time you're purchasing something, so at least, I'm spending 99 cents, but at least I'm, going through the process, and, every couple times or whatever, if it's my regular stores, then I'll buy some beer or buy, something. But for the most part, just buy $1 Arizona tea and start a conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the stores that I used to go to, it was kind of convenient for me because neither of the owners drank. But one doesn't drink at all, and the other one doesn't drink whiskey. He's a wine guy. But when he would have us back in the back room to try stuff, he would open it up every now and then and have a drink. But you never could, like if you said, hey, let's go open this up, he'd be like, nah, I'm okay. Now the other store, he drank, but he had a completely different flavor profile. Like he liked the lower proof stuff, a little bit sweeter. So he wasn't big into the barrel proof. So we never opened it up in the store. But I always, whenever he wanted a sample, by all means, I said, as soon as I opened it up, I will bring you a sample. And I always did. And he continued. Unfortunately, that store went out of business, but up until then, he continued to, I was pretty much his only bourbon guy. So it sucks that it went out of business, but yeah, it happens. So, but yeah, I'm like you, Jake. I really don't hunt anymore. I used to hit stores all over the place. Like if I had to take a detour to go home, I'm pulling up Google Maps looking for liquor stores. And I just don't do that anymore. I don't have time to do it. And that's when it gets expensive quick, is you go into these places and you're like, oh yeah, this store doesn't have that. I'm going to get it while I'm here. I just don't do that anymore. I'm like you guys. I like the store picks, and when I see Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, like we were talking about before we started here, I paid $10-$20 more for this Elijah Craig Barrel Proof that we're drinking tonight, but I really don't care because I'm not spending the money on anything else right now. So $20, I can part with that because I know chances are I'll like it.
Yeah. I will absolutely say a good tip for guys that are just getting into it: before you start hunting, do some studying, download your state's price book, read through it a little bit, because you're going to hear things, early on, the kind of the junior bottles, like the baby Saz, the Stag Juniors, even like the Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs, these ones that you get so excited that first time, you've heard it on a podcast or on your Facebook group, these different bottles that are somewhat hard to find. And the first time you go in and see like a Stag Junior and they're asking $80, you're like, oh, but I've never seen one. I gotta get it. And then 3 months later, when the next release comes out, your local store has it for $45 and you're just ready to cry about it. So read the prices first before you start shopping.
Yeah. Very true.
That was a true story.
That's crazy.
That's the one nice thing about Ohio is all the prices are the same everywhere you go. So,
see, I don't. I mean, you guys are a full control state, right?
Oh yeah,
we're a semi-controlled, so we have the distribution system and everything, and we have listed state shelf minimum prices. But once it hits the store owners can list it for whatever they want. The only stipulation is that if a store lists, like on their window or what have you, on their signage, that they are a state minimum liquor. Some places will get around it by putting like some state minimum, but if they have it listed that it is a state minimum store, then everything they sell has to be a state minimum.
Okay.
Huh. As far as I know, we're the Wild West. Just price
Wild
it at whatever you
Southeast.
want to. Yeah. Wild Southeast. It ranges. I mean, like I said, this Elijah Craig was, I think, after tax, right around 80. But then, other places, it'll be spot on. It'll be $60. And then you get the stores that get the Van Winkles, and, those are all marked up pretty much anywhere you go. Nowadays, I mean, the stores down here, some of them, like if they don't have regular customers, they're going to charge an arm and a leg just because they'll know they'll eventually get it. I mean, they're charging secondary prices. Right. And I mean, it sucks, but that's kind of where we are.
I don't ever dog a store owner for asking or for listing it. Honestly, I've had decent experience a few times where I was happy that a store owner listed certain allocated products for hire. That's just an asking price. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that they're not willing to negotiate, or if you're willing to, package a few bottles together. A lot of times you can ask the guy, hey, you know what? Sometimes to get 2 or 3 birthday bourbons, they've got to buy like 50 cases of Old Forester,
right,
in order just to get 2 or 3 bottles of birthday bourbon. So sometimes it's, hey, does it help you if I buy a bottle of 1920 while I'm buying that birthday bourbon that you want, $150 for, and I know that state minimum is $80. How about I give you 90 and I buy that too? Does that help? Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I got my birthday bourbon. That's the story that happened to me this year. That the guy was asking 150. I walked out of paying 90.
Yeah.
So
nice.
It's a starting point. And when they list it higher, it deters a lot of the guys that are just buying it to flip.
Yeah.
And here in Lansing, our allocation is just minimal. The state is very Southeast heavy. Everything goes to Detroit Metro, and and the rest of the state is kind of just left reaching for scraps. I mean, we got in our entire Lansing market, we only got Stag for the BTAC, and we got 9 bottles in the entire city, in the entire Lansing metro area, got 9 bottles. From what I've heard so far, I think we're not probably going to get anything beyond like a Van Winkle 10 in our area. So none of the actual Pappies will probably hit. And I mean, it's pretty few and far between. And so we try to keep as much of it here local as possible.
So why not drink store picks?
Yeah.
Well, so last year in 2016, there was one store pick in the entire city. It was a Buffalo Trace pick. Actually, that was actually the beginning of this year. So our local group that Blake and I founded actually not too long ago, and our mission is to really try to grow the scene here in Lansing and to get more stores buying barrels. And we've already got a few stores buying them, and we're going to be going down and doing this distillery pick here pretty soon. And it's we're trying to just grow it from a grassroots level and try to make it a better drinking place.
Nice. Where are you picking at?
Well, I thought it was settled on an Elijah Craig barrel.
Nice.
But I was just informed that it might end up being a Four Roses.
Ooh,
so fingers
nice.
Crossed.
Yeah, Four Roses would be awesome. But I'll let you know a little secret. If you do go down and do an Elijah Craig barrel, ask for it to be non-chill filtered.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to proof it down to 94, but if you ask for non-chill filter, they will non-chill filter it.
That's awesome. Great tip. That store that's sending us that KC pick that that's en route to you right now is from that store.
Nice.
So
looking forward to that.
All right, Aaron, you got anything on these two big boys?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit, I guess. I wasn't going to starting off until you mentioned that we did not cover an Elijah Cray yet. I could have swore we did, but what I was thinking of was we did the McKenna 10-year
right.
for one of our first shows. So that's what I was thinking of. But,
I gotcha. Well, I'm going to twist your arm. You don't have to.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about it, but so like the McKenna 10-year, Elijah Cray uses the same mash bill. It's not fully disclosed, but it's either 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley, or it is, I think, 75% corn, 13% rye, or 12% malted barley. It's one of those two. Not sure which one it is. So Elijah Cray used to be aged 12 years. Then they kind of changed the label, moved the 12-year to the back of the label, and now it is non-age stated. So you're thinking probably somewhere between, they're probably still throwing some 12-year barrels in there, but they probably cut it down to somewhere between 8 and 12 years being mixed together. Saying they're keeping the same flavor profile. Honestly, I've never tried them side by side, so I couldn't tell you if there was a difference. But if I did try them side by side, I'd probably say there was a difference just because I know that one has no age statement. But we're not talking about the regular Elijah Cray today. We are talking about the barrel proof. So what is it? It's Elijah Cray at barrel strength, right out of the barrel. This actually is aged 12 years, and I think they just came out with a new release, the C917 at 131 proof.
Ooh.
I think that was just released. So that makes up to now 15 releases that they've done of this. So they're releasing it 4 times a year. The first release was back in March 2013. It's been ongoing ever since. Heaven Hill saw what was happening, where everyone's palates were moving to, and they took the leap and started doing this barrel proof. And I think it's been a big hit ever since. I remember when it first was said to be coming out, I was just one of those like little kids on Christmas Day. I couldn't wait to get out there and get my hands on it because, like you were saying, I always loved Elijah Cray 12-year. I always thought it was a great product. It was always just, $25. And I mean, 12 years age stated, good drinking proof at 94. It was just, for the price, it was hard to beat. And so I was super pumped when this came out. But I want to say this is probably one of the lower proofs that they have had. This what we're drinking tonight is the 124.2. So this is the one that was released in May of this year. So B517. And actually, it is, looking at the sheet here, it is the lowest proof. The highest proof that they've had is the 140.2. I believe.
I think they called
That's
that
the
one
hazmat.
Yeah.
That is the hazmat. Yeah, anything over 140 is hazmat. So even if it was 0.1. Yeah, that's just a little info on the Elijah Cray barrel proof. E.H. Taylor barrel proof, exactly what it sounds like. It's E.H. Taylor at barrel strength, uncut, unfiltered, straight from the barrel to the bottle. I don't really know. They're both considered small batches. I don't know what the number of barrels that go into these small batches, because like everyone always says, they've never had a definition for small batch. It just has to be smaller than your big batch.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say how many barrels go into this. If I had to guess, a couple hundred. I think the Taylor barrel proof is released twice a year.
Yeah, I think it's
yes.
usually in the spring and around the fall.
Yeah. So and this one we're drinking tonight is the 127. What is it? 0.1?
0.2.
0.5.
0.5. Wait,
0.5.
we may be drinking different ones then.
Uh-oh.
Mine's 127.2.
Mine is 127.2.
Hold on a second. Let me go to the bar and grab the 127.2.
Yeah, so it's just the good old Taylor at barrel strength. So thoughts age somewhere between 8 and 10 years probably. Do you know how many batches they have come out with this? I couldn't find it.
I was thinking it's probably been around 8, I think.
I was thinking 6 to 8, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Do you know how many batches of the barrel proof have come out for E.H. Taylor, Jake?
Yes, this would, let's see. This year's, I actually have it listed on my phone here. I'm pretty sure I think the 128.1, that was the Springs release, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I think that was batch 7.
Okay. I was thinking somewhere between 6 and 8. So that's all I got. Unless you guys got something else you want to throw out there.
Well, funny little note about the Elijah Craig barrel proof is that actually the May 2017 128.1 was batch 6.
Okay.
So I suggested that that we do the Taylor versus Craig barrel proofs, but then you, Aaron, specified which releases we were going to do. And
did you screw this up, Jake?
No, I was just going to say what was kind of funny in a really lame, funny kind of way is that you picked the batch, and at first you just told me the proof on the batch, the 124.2 Elijah Craig, and I had not purchased this batch yet. So Blake brought his bottle over. Lo and behold, it's batch B517, and that's the area code here in Lansing, 517.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. Dialed it up just for you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
So if you like lame coincidences, there you go.
I like it. Well, especially for y'all not to get that much, though.
This is, Elijah Craig barrel proof is the one of the things that's well supplied here. It didn't used to be, but I don't know. Maybe it's one of those consolations where stores are maybe trying to push to get some allocated stuff, and the distributors are saying, well, hey, here's this allocated bourbon for you. So it's pretty regular around here, which is good because I love it.
Yeah, they're both good. And you look at the guys that these bourbons were named after, and I mean, they're just, of course not a whole lot is really known about Elijah Craig. All of it's just kind of hearsay and people chalk it up to being history, but still, I mean, for him to be kind of the father of bourbon, and then Colonel E.H. Taylor to kind of be the father of modern bourbon. I mean, you got two pretty stand-up historical bourbon guys here that these things are named after. And I think, both of these barrel proofs, most of the batches, all the batches of the Taylor barrel proof that I've ever had have been great. Some of the Elijah Craig that I've had has been hit or miss, I think. They've all been good, but then there's been some that have been really good.
I agree.
I think the last two I've really enjoyed.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was really surprised. I did taste this one when Blake brought it over, because he's like, you're gonna want to try this ahead of time. The Elijah Craig Barrel Proof's been one of my regular pours for a while, and I love it. And it blew my mind. I thought that the flavor profile was much different than like the 136 from last year. So I guess we'll get more into that after the break. But
speaking of break, I kind of want to drink some of this.
Yeah,
let's do it. Aaron, anything else to add?
No, I just can't believe you haven't been drinking it.
No, I have been.
Yeah, I hope there wasn't a rule that we were supposed to not drink until the break.
Just the guests. The guests can't drink before the break. No, I've already had a glass of the Elijah Craig, and I'm about halfway through my glass of Taylor.
Nice.
Well, I'm already halfway through a glass of the 127.5 E.H. Taylor release.
It's close enough.
Yeah,
I think Aaron's text just said the 127, and so I immediately just grabbed, because the 127.5 was last fall's release, and so that was just the one that was, I have them in sequential order on my bar, so that was the next to last one, so that was the one I grabbed.
It'll work. Like I said, close enough. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll share our notes. Welcome back, everybody. In the break, we have been sipping on some Colonel E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof and Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. It's a showdown, folks. Per the usual format, when we have guests, we'll let Aaron kick it off. We'll sandwich Jake in between the two of us, and I'll bring up the rear. Mr. Cave, take it away, sir.
All right, so I'm going to start off with the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I tell you what, for me, this is just a classic bourbon nose. It's full of vanilla and caramel. It's got some great brown sugar notes to it. A lot of oak. Get a little bit of orange peel, some bananas. Get a nice hint of cinnamon and clove, even a little bit of anise, and some nice, well-rounded tobacco notes. And on the palate, this for me is just it's thick, it's creamy. It definitely shows its age, but it's got a ton of spice on the palate. I get lots of cinnamon and pepper, nutmeg, a lot of oak and tobacco, little hints of cherry. I get that brown sugar. I get the vanilla, and some just great rye spice is in there. The finish is kind of on the drier side. It's long. I get a lot of pepper and the oak tannins. Nice hints of vanilla and tobacco. It's a well-rounded bourbon, and it's a solid pour. I really love this 124 proof. For me, I'm giving it a 92. I really like it. Yeah. And the Taylor Barrel Proof 127.2 on the nose. I tell you what, if I close my eyes and just take a big whiff of this, I think just the first thing that pops into my mind is a freshly baked apple pie. But yeah, it's got a great nose. It's just filled with fresh fruits. I get apples and pears, even some cherries. I get nice hints of like sweet corn. It almost reminds me of cornbread. Some caramel, toffee. little bit of butterscotch, cinnamon, and hints of mint. On the palate, it's creamy, it's viscous, it's just it's a full body bourbon. I get lots of honey, butterscotch, a little bit of cinnamon, some nice citrus notes. It reminds me almost like tangerine. Some nice peppery notes, a little bit of clove, and I get just a hint of cherry. And then on the finish, I get a lot of honey and cinnamon, some nice toffee notes, and cherries all the way on the finish. For me, this one is a 91. So Elijah Cray takes it for me.
Man.
And I think what really pulls it out in front is just how much spice that Elijah Cray has. I think the 12-year age just really pulled it out for me, because I mean it's got some great spice notes to it. I was really digging tonight. I told you I've tried these side by side quite a few times, and I've gone back and forth between them, and I don't know if I'm just feeling the spice tonight or what, but it's what I'm digging tonight.
That's awesome. Yeah,
It's a great pour.
It's gonna be a close match tonight. Close match. Yeah, it is a great pour. It's a fantastic pour. Both of them are. I mean,
you can't go wrong.
No,
no.
There's no going wrong with either of these.
No, that is true. All right, Jake, what you got, man?
Well, I'll kick it off with the Elijah Craig as well. I did sample these neat. I don't know if you guys added. Do you just do straight up neat? Did you ever tap any water into it or anything?
Usually not.
Okay.
Nah, I don't either. There's really, I think the only one that I'll occasionally add water to is the Stag Junior.
Oh yeah.
I'll add some water to that, but for the most part, any other barrel strength I can usually do all right with.
Yeah, not to get too far off topic, but Stag Junior and Booker's are two for me that it's just more of the enjoyability of flavor. I think that they do so much better with a little bit of water or a drop of an ice cube or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this Elijah Craig, this one, this is a classic flavor. It was really reminiscent on the nose of the Elijah Craig 18. Tons of vanilla. I got some nice orange zest, orange peel, and some white pepper on the nose. Just a great. I mean, as soon as I took a whiff of it, when I tried this one, it immediately took me to the Elijah Craig 18, which I absolutely love. On the palate, lots of vanilla. I think I wrote in my notes that it's vanilla bomb. Great tobacco and leather flavors. Again, some more of the orange peel. I also got. I like to do this. It's so weird, but candies pop in my head a lot. I always revert to different candies that I've had when I'm thinking flavors and flavor combination. I got some of that red rope candy. You guys remember that?
Oh yeah,
cherry, strawberry, red rope candy.
Yeah.
My mind kept veering to that flavor, and I was loving it. The finish, medium long. Again, like Aaron said, it's a little bit dry, but the dry finishes just lead you to drink more, which is never a problem. Well, shouldn't say it's never a problem. It's probably often a problem, but
not on this show. It's not.
It did have a nice spicy, peppery finish. I gave this one a 91. I really, really dug it. Into the E.H. Taylor, just a shot behind the curtain for the listeners. I did originally have the 127.5 release, and just now on the spot did switched it all up and did the 127.2. So after I have already had a few drinks, so this was a fun little pop quiz. On the nose, it was oaky. I got some caramel, vanilla, lots of honey to me on this one. On the nose, palate. Right up front, caramel and butterscotch, brown sugar, some more of the honey. Really had to kind of get into it for a little bit. Got some orange zest, some other citrus flavors. The finish on this one, it was nice. The mouthfeel is fantastic. It was a nice long finish to me. some more of the orange peel and honey. Overall, though, I gave it a 90. The Elijah Craig was just a smidge better. I just,
Nice.
again, it might be. I honestly, even when I originally had the 127.5 release, I had it as an 89. So this 127.2 I thought was a little bit better than the other one. Not to add a third review into the mix, but this Elijah Craig release, man, bravo! These last couple releases have been really stellar. It's been a good year for Elijah Craig.
Yes, it has been.
So you gave the Elijah Craig what, a 90?
The Elijah Craig was a 91.
91.
And the Taylor was a 90.
Okay. Yeah, we got some good scores going on here. Some good scores.
Should we just mention that both of these beat out the obligatory Blantons? That has to happen on every episode, right?
It should. Yeah, but you get into my argument has always been that when you compare it to the gold and especially the straight from the barrel, you've got to leave room. You've got to leave room for those two. And an 87, I feel like you leave enough space for those two. The
first time I cracked a straight from the barrel, I think that might have been the best nose I had ever experienced on a bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a solid pour. It's a solid pour. All right. Let's see. You guys started off with Elijah Craig, didn't you? So that's what I will start off with. I was getting some black pepper, a little bit of dark chocolate, some citrus, some darker fruits. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I was getting some darker fruits on it. Getting some younger oak, a little more fresh cut oak on it. It's darker. I found it to be a little bit more rich than the Taylor. I get some clove, some brown sugar, and when I first drank this, I was having a hard time really, just picking out some of the flavors, some of the aromas on the nose. But revisiting it tonight, I mean, just vanilla jumps out at you. It's full of vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
So just a really great nose. The palate, I was getting some red pepper, cinnamon, a little bit of black pepper. That provides the nice upfront spice that has a really good mouthfeel. It's full bodied with a few laps around my mouth. It gets pretty creamy, and there's a nice kind of salted caramel flavor that I was getting there. It really hit the top and the sides of my tongue real nice. The finish is long, lots of red pepper spice kicking it off, and that moves into some oak. More of that caramel, the brown sugar, a little bit of toffee, some leather, and then nice tobacco flavors. And then just there on the tail end, it just keeps going. You get a lot of the toffee and leather, or I'm sorry, the toffee and the tobacco just keep coming in there on the very end of it. And you guys mentioned it's a little dry. I think that's kind of a classic Heaven Hill thing. A lot of those finishes on Heaven Hill bourbons tend to be a little bit more dry. I find it nice. I like them. Overall, I gave this one a 90.
Nice.
Everything so far has been above 90.
And I'll give you a secret. It will continue to be that way. For the Taylor, I was getting a lot of citrus right up front on the nose. Quite a bit of caramel and vanilla. I found it to be a perfect amount of oak on it. Some clove, nutmeg, allspice, maybe a hint of dill. Aaron, I think you said you picked up some mint on the Taylor. I was getting a little bit of dill. Some fine leather. Some sweeter pipe tobacco, and a little cherry note floating in there. I love the nose on it. It's a great complex nose, just very inviting. You get a lot of vanilla on the revisit for this one tonight as well. Great mouthfeel with this one. It's full bodied, has a good bit of spice up front with cinnamon and a little bit of red pepper. That fades in, and fades out rather, and I get a good bit of caramel oak, tobacco, some citrus, and just a well balanced palate. I loved it. The sweet and the spice play really well together on this one. Finish was long. really full of flavor for me. Got lots of caramel again, some cinnamon, a little bit of brown sugar and vanilla. The end of it's just full of caramel, and I was getting some of that sweeter pipe tobacco again, and just the cherries really come in at the very end of the finish. I liked this one. I like the spice of the Elijah Craig, but I felt like this one had just a ton of flavor. Not that the Elijah Craig didn't. I just really enjoyed the flavor on this one, and I gave this one a 91.
Ooh.
So I think I was the exact opposite of you, Jake, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So that gives us for the Elijah Cray a 91 and for the Taylor a 90.6.
Oh.
So
That's a
Elijah
round
Cray
up.
takes it by 0.4.
0.4. Yeah. This is some of the hardest math we've had in a while.
I know.
Aaron, what'd you give the Taylor?
Like decimals just to
I
throw some
gave
math
the
at you.
Taylor a 91 as well.
Yeah.
But I gave the Elijah Cray a 92.
Gotcha. What were you saying, Jake?
I was gonna do like a 90.265.
Oh man, you'd
Just to be a dick, but I decided
really
not
thrown me off.
to.
Bust out the calculator. Oh man, yeah, these are just two great pours. You get two next to each other that are over 90, and you can't go wrong. I mean, what does barrel proof go for now? Is it like 90, 80, 90?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say about 80-ish to 90, depending where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. State min here is I think it bumped up to 79.99 this year, but nobody sells it for
Right.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. Well, I paid 80 for the Elijah Craig, so.
And
Which-
that's what it is at the gift shop, Seth. So
is it?
This is where I got this one. I got from the gift shop, and it was, I think they're selling it for 75, but you tax on put on tax, and it's 80-ish.
Right.
But when you can't find it anywhere around you, sometimes you're willing to pay that kind of price for it.
Yeah.
And it's a good pour, and I'm glad and it's still age stated. It's still 12 years. Says it on the side, which is nice. Yeah, I think the Taylor around me is 79 still, but we don't see it that much. But I just want these two were for me night and day. Like when I'm thinking of it, like the Elijah Cray was just more the darker roots of bourbon, where the E.H. Taylor were more the just like the lighter, the fresh and fruity, and
Exactly.
had that honey, and it just depends on the day, honestly, like what you're feeling that day, because they're both great pours. And I mean, if you're feeling like you just want some of that spice and those darker notes, that leather, that tobacco, that Elijah Cray is going to really stand out for you. But if you want something a little bit more, honey, toffee, butterscotchy with, some nice fresh fruits in there, that Elijah Cray is going to take it for, or the E.H. Taylor's going to take it for you. So it's really how you feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I was drinking these, I kept going back and forth, and it was really occurred to me that the Taylor was dessert. It was like, I want to drink this while I eat some homemade cookies and watch some football. And the Elijah Craig was, let's grab an awesome cigar,
Exactly.
and drink this, and go sit on the deck.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. Yep.
Oh,
Elijah Cray with a cigar, and
great with it.
Tara with a nice piece of pie.
Oh yeah.
Some of your wife's homemade pie.
Yeah. Did you see what I posted yesterday?
I did, and I kind of hated you for it.
Yeah, that looked delicious.
Yeah,
Oh my
homemade
God.
sweet potato pie. Oh man, it was, and I paired that with that Bellamide 10-year that we did, or maybe it was 9-year. We did what? Was it last week?
Last week, yeah.
Before?
Yep.
So, and man, talk about a pairing. Man, those two went so well together.
I bet. Oh gosh, man, you're making me thirsty. I got to drink more now.
Yeah. So
It's your
actually,
fault,
it
Aaron.
wasn't just a sweet potato pie; it was a brown butter sweet potato pie.
Oh well,
Ooh.
So yeah.
let's rub it in.
Oh well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with those two assessments there, a cigar and dessert.
Mm-hmm.
I think you did. That's a good one. And yeah,
Actually, I think I might just grab the rest of this after the show's over. I'm going to take the rest of the barrel proof Taylor. I'm going to go up and I'm going to grab one of my kids' bags of Halloween candy and just drink this and eat their candy.
Oh, sounds something like I would do.
Poor kids.
I know. I call it the candy tax.
There you go. There you go.
Somebody's got to take them around.
Yeah.
It's my payment because I don't do anything else. Right.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Anything else you guys want to add?
Man,
I don't know.
I'm so appreciative that you guys had me on today. This was a blast.
Yeah.
And to do these two pours at that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun show, and this never crossed my mind putting these two against each other. So thanks for reaching out to me and mentioning this, because once I thought about it, I was like, for me, I was thinking a fun show would be like a Taylor and a Stag Junior, just because they're same mash bill, but to do two separate distilleries with stellar high proof bourbons, that. Honestly, for me, this is a better one to do, I think.
Well, they're relatively close in proof too.
Yeah.
You weren't going to have to twist a whole lot of arms to do these two.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, but no, we're glad you came on, man. That's always fun. We enjoy having people on that mixes things up and makes things interesting. We certainly enjoy it. Faux show.
I appreciate it.
Mr. Jake, where can folks find you?
Well, you can find me up in my living room eating my kids' Reese's peanut butter cups.
Right now, right after the show.
E.H. Taylor. But no, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at bourbon.spartan and also at Metal Rock Whiskey on Instagram.
Nice. Excellent. So what's going on with Metal Rock Whiskey? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, it's a podcast that we're working on. Sailor Retro, the Whiskey Obsessor, and the Bourbon Geek on Instagram. Isn't that funny how we refer to people with their Instagram handles, because that's kind of how we all know each other?
That's right.
No, we just all had it kind of started organically where somebody posted like a Metallica post, and we all started commenting on it, and that comment thread led to a direct message group thread that turned into a Facebook group that turned into a podcast, just because we kind of started realizing we all loved music and loved whiskey and loved the two of them together, and kind of wanted to talk about it. So we're going to give it a ride, and episodes will start showing up probably sometime around January, end of the year ish.
Nice.
So,
yeah. I don't know. Was it the same post that I commented on? That one may have been an Instagram post about the Metallica.
Yeah, it was. Sailor had posted about. I think she had posted like a Ride Lightning Metallica cover and had said something about it. And I tend to be more of a contrarian of sorts, so I like to try to get things going a little bit, push some buttons. So I did.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Have fun.
Well, we'll be on the lookout for that. So it is.
Appreciate it.
What'd you say it was? I'm sorry.
Metal Rock Whiskey.
Metal Rock Whiskey. Cool. Yeah, we'll be on the lookout for that one. Mr. Cave.
Oh man, I got so much going on these days. You can find me everywhere.
Just do a search for Bourbon Cave, and there he is.
So, yep, I'm at the Bourbon Cave on Instagram and Twitter. Right for the Bourbon Zeppelin, high proof single barrel bourbons. Right for the Sons of Winston Churchill. And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but you can always find me here on the Firewater Review.
Excellent. And I will say that if all goes well, this episode should come out on Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
So,
nice.
If that is the case, happy Thanksgiving. If it's not the case, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. But Aaron, you mentioned Son of Winston Churchill. This upcoming week,
Yes.
we're recording this the week before Thanksgiving, for what that's worth. This upcoming week, the week of the 20th?
Yes,
Yeah.
the 20th.
Is around the whiskey world in 7 days. So it is 7 days, 7 distilleries, 7 different whiskeys. And each day will be a new article from a different writer. And Aaron and I have taken part in that one again this year, and that'll be all next week. So be on the lookout for that. Should be a good read there on each day.
Yeah,
I'll
I
look
think
forward to
so.
And you can find that at sow.blogspot. Dang it, I always screw that up. Hassie, we got to work on that URL, buddy. sowchurchill.blogspot.com, and on Instagram, where Hassie, our good friend that runs Son of Winston Churchill, will be promoting this. That is at Son of Winston Churchill on Instagram. But me personally, I am Seth P. Brown on Instagram and never on the Twitter. You can find me on this show, of course, that is at Firewater Review on Instagram. You can find all of our shows in iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. We enjoy your feedback. Please leave it. You could be like Jake, come on the show, leave some feedback. What do you want us to review? What do you want to review with us? Do it. That's all I got.
Let us know.
Yes. I hope you didn't eat too much turkey, because you got to save room for bourbon.
And pie.
And pie, yes. Aaron's wife's pie. Homemade pie. I'm going to stop now because I'm going to dig a really deep hole right now.
All right.
All right. Until next time, please drink responsibly, and cheers.
Later.
Cheers. Thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
The Firewater Review is part of the ABV network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.